Jai Mataji and welcome to today's session. In our previous session, we focused on how our reality is created just because of our thoughts, and we focused on what we need to do to prepare the children. And today we're going to focus on a really exciting topic, which is intuition. Now, I mentioned earlier that the mind works to organize our actions. So, what that means is that when we have a vision that is present in our mind, then the mind will focus to direct all actions to fulfill that vision. What that means is we don't only need to train ourselves and children on creating this vision, what we also need to do is train our mind to take a vision into an action. Our goal is to be able to connect with and express God. Just an example, that's what we would call as making an ordinary painting or making a painting like what we've seen with Mona Lisa's painting. So the question is, how do we get there? And the answer is in the mind. So let's take a look at the mind a little bit closer. Everyone complains that their mind is never silent, and this is a problem that everyone is faced with. Interestingly, there was a study done in 2020 that showed that a person has, just on average, more than 6,000 thoughts per day. So for a moment, I'd like you to put yourself in your mind's shoes. You are given a vision that you're supposed to execute, and you are supposed to arrange a person's actions around that vision. But at the same time, you're getting 6,000 thoughts per day. So you still got to get your job done, and then you still got to be entertaining to these 6,000 thoughts coming through. And so the question becomes, what are you expected to listen to, right? And this explains why people can have a vision, but eventually they don't execute to it because the mind just gets lost between the vision and all these thoughts. And this is why you must train the mind so that it knows that that vision is the most important thing it has to work on, and it only has to choose the thoughts that are needed for this vision. So that means you have to go through a training process so that you are only accepting the needed thoughts and then you're rejecting all the unnecessary thoughts coming through. All of us need to spend time every day going over the thoughts that we had and put them into these buckets of needed or not needed. And this is a routine practice that we need to do and we need to get the children to do. We'll notice that if we continue exercising this on a daily basis, at one point, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to say, accept, reject, accept, reject. But then the more and more you start rejecting thoughts that are not needed for your vision, what's going to happen is you're going to stop them from coming altogether. Then you're going to get to this point where you won't need any more thoughts, and this is when you'll be able to have great insights on making that extraordinary thing or executing that extraordinary action. You see, what you're doing is you are using the power of concentration. And I'll walk you through an example to explain this a little bit further. So say you wanted to create a painting. In your head, you've created a vision of what this painting is going to look like. You want to create this painting, but your mind is getting these 6,000 thoughts every day. So every day you're working through a routine practice to say, okay, mind, I only want you to entertain the thoughts that are needed for me to make the painting and reject everything else. So what your mind is going to do is it's going to keep thoughts of what paint you need to use, how you need to schedule your painting. And then your mind is going to remove all thoughts like, hey, let me waste my time by playing on the phone, or hey, let me go visit this person. So, you've trained your mind to reject any of these unnecessary thoughts that are going to take you away from doing this painting. Then what you're going to have is you'll start having only the thoughts that you need to make this painting. And that will be the only thing that your mind is filled with. And it's going to be so intense to the point that you don't need to think anymore. You're done thinking. And you're going to then hit this complete state of silence. What's happened is that your vision and actions have become the reality. And so your mind doesn't need to think anymore. And it's exactly at this point where you will start opening up to higher regions of the mind. And as soon as you start doing that, You're going to start bringing in ideas or things that are beyond your current capacity. See, then all of a sudden, you'll have a vision of a painting, something that is better than what you had already thought of. Or you'll have some insights on how to do this painting. Once again, something better than what you had previously thought of. And this is what you would see as a difference in the painting between an ordinary painting and the paintings like what Leonardo da Vinci did. And so, why does this happen? Sri Aurobindo says that in our mind, we have different levels. And these levels are called physical mind, vital mind, mental mind, higher mind, illumined mind, intuitive mind, overmind, and supermind. You operate based on the state of mind that you are accessing. And so every time you hit a higher level of the mind, you're bringing a level of consciousness into you, and then you can operate based on that. Intuition is the region between the higher mind and the overmind. And the only way we're able to access it is if we train our mind to be silent. All of you may have had this experience where all of a sudden you've received some kind of information from your intuition and you'll say, well, I just know it. It came like a flash. I don't know how I know it, but I just know. It just comes. And the thing is, this information is closer to the higher truth. Right now, with most of the human species as it is, we have limited capacities to execute at the higher mind's level. So what that means is we need to train ourselves in getting this information from above down to the planes that we're operating in and then execute in those. Here, how intelligent you are doesn't really matter because even the most intelligent people in the world are going to say that they genuinely don't know everything. True knowledge is something that comes from above. So if we are able to access the intuitive state of mind, we're going to be bringing down knowledge and actions that are much higher than the capacities that we're working in right now. And this approach isn't something that we should limit just when we think about creating a reality for ourselves. It's a similar approach if we're trying to solve problems. The goal is the same. You have to silence the mind, you'll be able to access the solution, and then your problem will be solved. Your mother said that in life, if you ever have a problem and you don't know the solution, then all you got to do is concentrate, and only concentrate on that problem to a point that you're focused on nothing but that problem. You will hit a state where automatically you'll unlock a door into your intuition and then you'll get a solution. And with that, we're at the end of the series on training the mind. Today, we discussed how to access information from the intuition. In the next series, we will be focusing on guidelines on teaching and education. So see you in the next session. Jai Mataji.